Hey guys, this is Caustra here, and today we are back. Back with possibly the most elusive video series ever, considering I upload it like once every few months. Geometry Dash Science 10 has finally arrived. Now, you're probably all surprised that this is still a thing, and honestly, I am too, but there are still a few topics that I would like to cover before I officially make an end to it. And that's not me saying I'll end the series soon, it depends on a lot of things that I will decide as I go. But recently, I felt a new surge of volition to continue this series, partially due to the pressure of continuing it, and partially because of this. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have a new 4K monitor, and I plan on using it in the series a little bit. Probably wondering what I'm going to do with this, but you'll see very shortly. Just look at how girthy this panel is. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this thing just yet. So yeah, here it is. It's all set up. Now all we got to do is plug it in and give it a test. See what it's like. Just look how big it is compared to my 24-inch monitor. This thing is just, oh, it's a beast. I cannot wait to try this thing. Like, bruh, this monitor is thick though. 28 inches of pure girth. So yeah, I've got a little bit of new hardware and there are some new things I want to try with it. Anyways, in this episode, I'm going to be revisiting the subject of the first episode, which was the differences between 60Hz and 144Hz. Partially because I thought I didn't do that one very well, but also partially because there are a few things in regards to it that I didn't cover, such as refresh rate bugs. So, the first thing I want to address is, well, the original video. Basically, I was right with everything I said, however there is another element to it that I missed. And this element could be key to the refresh rate differences. A lot of people think that it's just the overall fluidity of 144Hz in comparison to 60Hz that makes you better, and while you're right with that in terms of it, helping, it's not the real reason that it makes a difference in the game. This is. What I just showed you is two overlaid clips of me sending a ship up a ramp, one at 60Hz and one at 144Hz. If we zoom in a little, you can actually see that after a certain period of time, the 60Hz ship begins to fall faster. That's the secret ingredient of Geometry Dash right there. The fact that 60Hz falls faster makes a bit of a difference, especially when straight flying, because if you're falling faster, it means you need to be quicker with your timings when making micro adjustments during straight fly. That right there is the reason. So, what we found out is that different refresh rates have different levels of gravity. And it makes sense too. Think about it. If you fall marginally faster on 60Hz versus 144Hz, that means 144Hz will marginally be easier to straight fly with. It also explains why you jump a pixel or two higher on 144Hz. Basically, for those of you who don't understand gravity physics in game development, this is how it works. When you jump in a game, it applies movement in the opposite direction of the force of gravity. This is often characterized as v-speed, or vertical speed. Basically, it moves you upwards with a set velocity, and then gravity starts pulling you back down by increasingly decreasing the v-speed. Now, compare the Earth to the Moon for a second. On Earth, you don't jump very high, but on the Moon, when you jump, you often go up a few feet. This is because of the differences in gravity, and that's exactly what you're seeing here. Since the gravity on 144Hz is marginally weaker than on 60Hz, it takes more time for you to start falling back down, and that's why you move up a few extra pixels. It's not a big difference, but in certain demons this makes a huge difference. It's often the make or break of whether you can actually beat a level. Another example of this is in that one ball part in Bloodbath. There's this part that you can land on safely on some refresh rates, but not others. This is all due to the different gravities each refresh rate has. The next thing I want to talk about is trail cutting. Geometry Dash redraws the trail every 60 frames, and the intended frames per second in Geometry Dash is 60. In simpler terms, if your monitor runs at 60 Hz or 60 frames per second, the trail will loop itself every second as intended. However, if your monitor is running at 144 Hz or 144 frames per second, the trail will still refresh every 60 frames. This will cause a trail to cut or redraw every 0.416 seconds, causing a graphical glitch. Another example is 75 Hz. On 75 Hz, your trail will redraw every 0.8 seconds, assuming it is cutting. In short, if your monitor's refresh rate is divisible by 60, then trail cutting will not occur. If your monitor's refresh rate is not divisible by 60, then trail cutting will occur. Also, the higher your monitor's refresh rate, the more often the trail will cut. Also, I want to briefly mention slopes. Slopes in Geometry Dash are very complicated, and if I included them in this video, it would be way too long. I've decided to leave slopes for another video, so look out for that in the future. So, after exhibiting all this, I hope you can see the point I'm trying to make. Understanding Geometry Dash is like an iceberg. The tip of it is what we know, but there is so much more that we have yet to understand. As much as I was able to cover in the very first episode of GD Science, there's still many more aspects that haven't even been touched upon. This whole episode wasn't just the 10th installment of the GD Science series. It was a message. GD Science will hopefully be back, and although uploads aren't super frequent, they'll be here at least.